think that a lion is any less of a lion if he gets stabbed in the back? If he gets snuck up on? If he gets surprised? If he's taken advantage of? Is he any less than? Is he anything less than the king of the jungle? You're listening to the Unapologetically Unstoppable podcast. It's about going deep into who you were made to be and following that, no matter what. Where your calling is in the front seat and fear, well, it's trying to stop you, but fuck that guy. And getting the tools and tips to become unstoppable. I'm your host, Jeanette Peterson, where not too long ago, I had to find my calling. Here, you'll hear from me and other online experts on how to discover your calling, the steps to make it happen, and how to monetize it. I believe when we're unapologetic about our calling, we become an unstoppable, expansive force. So let's get started. Hey girl, hey! Well, I don't want to be too happy because the subject I'm about to talk to you about might trigger some of you. So I want to give you a chance, if you need to, turn this episode off. I will be talking directly and indirectly about sexual assault. So if this is something you have not yet healed from or something that is a very contentious point for you, please turn this off. I do not want to trigger somebody in that way. Okay, let's get started. When I was in the military, I was sexually assaulted. And then I allowed it to happen again because I thought that's all I was worth. And for the past 3 years, I've been diving into MST, military sexual trauma, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, therapy. So I did 2 years on my own and then 1 year this past year with my husband. And it was not easy at all. Even admitting that I had been sexually assaulted and taken advantage of, to even say out loud to another person was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I thought that's all I was worth. I felt unworthy. I felt unloved. I felt broken. I felt a lot. I felt a lot. But after 3 years of processing the trauma, the traumatic event, that occurred more than once, I can tell you that there's another side, for one, and I can tell you what it has taught me and the lessons I've learned from it. Because no matter what happens, I like to think that we can learn something from the situation. And it's not, I shouldn't have been drinking or I shouldn't have been hanging out with people who I thought were my friends after years of knowing them. It wasn't that, because you know what? That's not something for me to learn. Meaning, I should feel safe around the people that I think are safe, that I've known for years. So the first thing I learned was that bad things do happen to good people. Obviously, I talk about God a lot, and I love him, and some people say everything happens for a reason, yada, 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 like my sexual assault just had to happen to me. And that's not necessarily true. But also, I don't have to use it for bad. I can use it for good, because if the devil wants to get at you, the best defense to the devil is to tell your testimony. So I know that bad things happen to good people, and God does not love seeing those things happen to them, but he will always make a way out of nothing. And the second one is the hardest thing. Forgiveness is for me. After I went through talking to this person, the therapist, and the group counseling sessions that I was in, forgiveness is not to forgive that person of what they've done. Forgiveness is to break the chains off my life. It's not for them. This person has no idea how much they hurt me. This person has no idea how it has affected my life and my relationships and how I'm able to connect with people. He has no idea. No idea. It's funny because we used to be friends. And so while I was going through this PTSD training, they tried to add me on Instagram. That was a trigger. That was a trigger. And every time that his name was mentioned, or talking to old friends, or that period of time in my life that came up on my memories and I saw people from that era, it was hard. And I would have an adverse reaction, and I would be in almost like a emotional hangover for a few days where I just couldn't get out of bed. My depression was really bad. All I wanted to do was numb. I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to feel those feelings because all of those feelings were too much for me to handle, and it was just overwhelming. But I've since forgiven him. For me, not for him. I forgive him because when people show you who they are, you believe them. And I knew he was a dirtbag, but sometimes it's fun to hang out with the dirtbags. And we had slept together before, so I guess he thought that was a free pass, which there never is. And I'd like to think of myself as a strong person. And I felt weak and like I didn't mean anything. And the third thing that this instance taught me was, it doesn't make me less than. My therapist said this to me, and my mind was blown. Because y'all know that I am that girl. I don't know if y'all watch Real Housewives of Atlanta, but I'm that girl from Clark, Atlanta. I'm that girl. I'm her. I'm that person. I am the one who you're going to call when you need somebody to get your back. When you need someone to get your back, I'm that person. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. I will protect you. I will go to the ends of the earth for you. That is who I am. So when I felt like I couldn't even protect myself, so how could I protect anybody else? That was a thought process that I had to work through with my therapist. And he said, do you think that a lion is any less of a lion if he gets stabbed in the back? If he gets snuck up on? If he gets surprised? If he's taken advantage of? Is he any less than? Is he anything less than the king of the jungle? And I said, you know what? You're right. Because I'm not less than. I belong to the King. I belong to the King. I belong to the King. I will inherit the goodness of the Lord because He's the King of all creation, and I belong to Him. I will inherit that because I am adopted into His kingdom. That doesn't make me less than. It might mean that I might walk with a limp, but I'm still standing. It might mean that I might walk with a little bit of hurt in my heart or a little scar, but that doesn't make me less than. If you see a lion and it's got a scar on its face, does that scare you more or less? Because to me, that scares me more. So you know what? That makes me even stronger because I survived it and I'm on the other side of it, and it's not going to take me down. It will not take me down. And I am not less than. I am still a queen of my own right. I still have resurrection power flowing through my veins. I still belong to the King. So I hope and pray that you have never had an experience like I have. But if you have, you are still a queen. You still matter. You are never less than. And it's not your fault that bad things happen to good people. And forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. And I love you. Oh my goodness. Now, I know you're ready to take this to the next level. So what you need to do is go to Facebook, join a community of badass, unapologetically unstoppable women at the Unapologetically Unstoppable Community. And you can find me on the grams at Jeanette.Peterson or at Peterson and Bell. This podcast was created by me, Jeanette Peterson, and Allison Hartman. Our producer is the Amy Williams. Talk soon.